It's now time for another edition of Mondays with Mooch. Steve Mariucci of NFL Game Day Morning, Thursday Night Football, and my compadre from NFL Network in general joining me here on Mooch Camp from his office up in Northern California. How are you there, Steve?
Good to be with you on a Thursday, or what day is it today?
I know.
Friday,
I lose track too. No, it's a Monday.
What is it today?
It's a Monday, Steve.
Huh?
Yeah, I lose track too.
It's always Mondays. You know, that's Rich, we see each other way too much.
I know that. It's a victory Monday, Steve, because we win every single Sunday on Game Day.
Yeah, because of Michigan. I heard your segment. You just can't let that Michigan thing go.
Well, I mean, seriously though, they look. You have to admit this, okay, Mr. Izzo's best man. Okay, at least Harbaugh.
I just talked to him this morning.
Did you really? Is he hearing the Harbaugh footsteps too? Is he hearing those footsteps also, Steve?
No, he's not here, and he's out here recruiting.
Okay.
He might end up with the best recruiting class in the country this year.
Is
anyway,
that right? No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk first item up for a bit. And in all seriousness, though, Harbaugh does have this team playing in a much better way, Steve. You got to at least admit that, right?
No doubt.
Okay.
I admit that. Absolutely right.
Okay. And you don't want to talk about it. That's okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about first item up for bids being what Cam Newton had to say after the game yesterday, after Luke McCown got a roughing the passer called for him in a way, and then Cam Newton did not get one called for him. Here is what he had to say about Ed Hockley, the referee, after the game.
I was really baffled by what was said to me. You know, I was rolling out, trying to string out the play, create some type of opportunity to get a completion. And, the defensive lineman kind of hit me. It was close, right on the cusp. Was it a late hit? I don't know. But the response that I got was, Cam, you're not old enough to get that call. It's one thing to be frustrated in a situation where you see a personal foul on the opposing quarterback get called. And then for me, when it's something around that same range and for that flag not to be called, I'm ticked off, really.
So through a spokesman of the NFL saying that the reason why there was no flag is because there was no cause for it, that the play was in fact officiated correctly, but also said Ed Hockley denied saying that. Does that sound right that an official would say something like that to a player, that he's not old enough to get a call, Steve?
Well, if he said anything like that, to me, Rich, he's probably just kidding, a little bit. I would always tell my quarterbacks, hey, this is who's going to be behind you in the white hat. He runs the show. Get to know him. This is his name, blah, blah, blah. Get to know him on a first-name basis so you can have a dialogue with him once in a while. And I think some of those officials will feel like they can talk casually to those guys on occasion. I have no idea what Ed said, but if he said something like that, I'm sure it was tongue-in-cheek, Rich, and Cam probably maybe took it the wrong way.
But, I mean, do officials take into account somebody's resume when throwing a flag based on your experience, Steve?
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't, and I suppose they don't. I'm sure they don't. But I will tell you, some of those officials, especially the referees, do know some of those quarterbacks after officiating 20, 30 of their games. Mm-hmm. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Hey, Cam, that kind of thing. But I don't know. I used to try to get those guys to know me too. I'd have their name and their number on the on my call sheet.
Yeah.
So if I yelled at them, I'd say, Hey, Joe, what was that? And they thought I knew him. I don't know him. I had his name written down right there.
Just a trick of the trade. Steve Mariucci joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So last night, in one of your former places of work in Detroit, the Broncos came out with a pistol formation, Steve, which I thought was interesting because that may be the landing spot for Kubiak and Peyton to have their offenses mesh from here on out. Do you think that's what happened with this offense in Denver, Steve?
Yeah, maybe so, Rich, because we've been talking about Peyton and blending his style of playing offense with Gary's version of the West Coast. And I know Gary likes the tailback straight behind the quarterback in the center, okay? Mm-hmm. And Peyton likes to be in the shotgun. And he only had a couple of snaps under center, right? I think Gary conceded. Peyton's better in the shotgun. So that might be the point where they say that's the compromise. I'm going to have a little more pistol where my tailback is not next to my quarterback all the time. I think Gary likes the running game with that guy behind. You know what? Peyton had a pretty good day, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He looked a little bit more. How can you say the word confident when he's a Mount Rushmore quarterback? But he looked more comfortable. There's no two ways about it. And it was getting uncomfortable. We talked about it on game day morning. We talked about it on this show as well. Uncomfortable between these two guys, it was being assumed, was going on with a battle over the playbook. So Kubiak can run his runs from the pistol and be a happy camper, and Peyton could be a happy camper from being shotgun. You think this is a compromise, Steve?
I do. I do. I think it's a good one because Gary's smart enough to say, we want to win games and win another Super Bowl. What's the best way to do that? Yeah, I'm gonna install my offense, but this is the best way. And I think Peyton is more comfortable there. The thing that made Peyton uncomfortable, he was taking too many hits. I mean, he's the least sacked quarterback of all time, okay? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, he's getting hit with all these different protections and different formations and under the center, and that's what made him uncomfortable. It was all the bruises that he had on Monday mornings. So I think this is a good thing going forward. We'll see where it goes. Denver's a good team, and yeah, I think they're the ones that have the best chance of beating New England in Week 12.
Yeah,
I heard you talking about
no,
that.
I know that's what you said on game day morning yesterday, and that Denver's defense could be the best in the NFL. When it's all said and done.
Yeah, Keith Talib was matched up with Calvin Johnson, and that's always a great matchup to see who covers. We don't talk about Megatron as often as we used to. Why is that? We talk about Antonio Brown and Julio Jones and all these other guys. Megatron is still alive and well, people, and that guy's a beast. And I thought Aqib Talib did a pretty darn good job against him.
Well, we're on the subject, Steve. Maybe it's because Matthew Stafford's not getting him the ball. I mean, Matthew Stafford, we're still waiting for him to step up and be a Pro Bowl quarterback and take this team on his shoulders in this quarterback-driven league, and they're 0-3 again. I think that's where the conversation's got to start, don't you think, Steve?
Yeah, I do. And Jim Caldwell came in there. He was 11-5 in his first year, and it's like, okay, here we go, restore the roar. But all of a sudden, they're sort of looking at an 0-5 start right now because they go to Seattle next, right?
Yes.
And then they have Arizona next, who's a heck of a team. So they could be 0-5. But you know, Matthew Stafford is getting hit too much too. That seems to be the trick. Hey, these good quarterbacks, if you give them time, they'll slice you up. So you got to rough them up a little bit, and he's been getting hit a lot.
Well, and I know that we just had a caller concerned, Steve Mariucci joining me here, who's a Cardinals fan, concerned that the Rams are coming in because the Rams are the ones that got Carson hurt last time, or at least let's put it this way. Carson got hurt against the Rams, Drew Stanton as well, and we saw Big Ben got hurt against the Rams last week. They are concerned about Carson Palmer's ability to stay upright because when you look at it, Steve, I think the Cardinals are the best team through 3 weeks of the NFL. What do you say, Steve?
Did you say in the NFL? All of the NFL?
In the National Football League, it's the entirety of it. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Well, they looked like they flexed their muscles yesterday. Bruce Arians, heck, he's been the coach of the year twice, and I like his staff. This Carson Palmer story is a great one. He might be the comeback player of the year. How about that guy, number 11? Larry Fitzgerald is the consummate pro on the field, off the field. You got to root for a guy like that. They are angry on defense. I love that secondary.
So who's your team? Who's the best team in the NFL through 3 weeks, Steve? What do you got?
I think Arizona is the top three. The jury is still out on the Packers or the Patriots. Those two teams are excellent as well. And then now you got to include Arizona. I want to watch the Packers later on tonight.
Okay, Steve Mariucci joining us here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to ask you what Todd Haley's going through right now. Big Ben out for the foreseeable future. Short week. Got to get an offense in for Michael Vick with the desperate Ravens coming to town. That's next. We're back in 1 minute's time in our Monday with Mooch segment with Steve Mariucci. Jeff Garland still to come, and your phone calls, 844-204-RICH. The Seahawks employed it against the Bears. Have you ever employed a trick play against another team because it was used so well against you? Have you ever done that, Steve, before?
Oh, my God, yeah. Many times. And so when I was coaching at Cal, one comes to mind. Rich, we used the fumble Ruski. Have you ever used that before?
in real life and personal? No, but I know what you're talking about.
So I'm going to tell you what the fumble Ruski, these are the coaching points. So I'm at Cal, 1991 this is, and it's against the USC Trojans, you know, the fight song. So here's how it works. I'm going to make sure I don't get unhooked.
Okay, get up.
So here's how the fumble Ruski works.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
I have a ball right here. Can you see this ball?
I can see the ball, Steve.
Look at it. Look at it. I can squeeze it.
Oh, what's the PSI of that?
We won't
ball,
go
Steve?
there right now.
Okay.
Okay, it's okay. So a fumble-rooski,
yes.
we did it on 3rd and 17 against USC, all right? And the center will snap the ball to his own butt, but the quarterback won't take it. The quarterback will run over there with the running backs to make the defense go there, but the ball falls down to the ground. Boom! It falls down. And the right guard, Eric Mullum, who played with Marshall at Indy, picks up the ball on the ground and runs around the other end like that. He went for 20-some yards for a first down, Cal, against the Trojans, okay? And then just to rub some salt in the wound, okay, that's called a fumble-rooski.
Yes.
That's what it's called. It's called I right, fumble-rooski left, ready, break. So then when we scored a touchdown a couple plays later, we wanted another trick play against the Trojans because everybody hates the Trojans, all right? So you line up your field goal team over there, and then if they don't cover it, you snap it over there and run it for 2. Well, they covered it, so we did shift, boom, right back here. Then we ran another fake, all right? And that was a 2-point, when I was thinking about this, oh, geez.
Yeah.
We threw the ball to Brent Woodall. If I remember correctly, it was Brent Woodall. And Brent Woodall was on the 82nd floor of the tower, 9/11.
No kidding. Wow.
Now I'm sad.
No,
yeah.
Steve Mariucci.
So anyway.
But so did somebody use the fumble-rooski against you? Is that where you first saw it, or you just saw it in the history books, or?
You would think if you run it, that somebody may very well not run it against you because you probably are familiar with it. You would be heads up for it. You'd run it against somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Just like the Seahawks did. Yeah, I love that stuff.
I mean,
I'm going to text Richard Sherman, though. The punter tackled him. Are you kidding me, Richard? I'm going to text him.
Did you hear the punter? Did you hear the punter of the Chicago Bears, Pat O'Donnell, has a sprained knee because he punted 10 times? Yes, he's day-to-day, the Bears punter.
What?
Have you ever heard of that one, Steve?
God.
The Bears punter's day-to-day
because he rest.
He punted.
What'd you say? 35 years ago, 10 times every time. You know what? At least they didn't turn it over, right?
Oh,
look at the bright side of it.
It was brutal.
Oh my! Maybe he got hurt tackling that guy.
What do you think Todd Haley's thinking right now? He's got a short week, and it's a new quarterback, and there's no way that Big Ben and Michael Vick run the same playbook, right? They can't do that. Correct?
That's right. Hey, remember when Todd Haley went there, Rich?
Yes.
And then it was like there was a rift between Ben and Todd and his offense.
A lot of people think it's still there.
Well, Todd's kind of a tough, abrasive guy sometimes, okay? But you know what?
Yeah.
Hey, how about look at his stats? Ben has been one of the great quarterbacks in our league in this Todd Haley offense, right? He had the most passing yards last year. I mean, it's like, ooh, this guy's going to be MVP caliber, right?
What about Vic, though, Steve?
All of a sudden, this short week, Todd Haley's not sleeping. I'll guarantee you he's not sleeping at all this week because this is going to be a different deal for him. You got a left-handed quarterback you got that just got there who's a different style than Ben altogether. So much of this playbook is going to change. He's going to probably have to limit what he does because Michael is so under-practiced, right? Yes, he's had some great seasons with terrific play at times, not lately. But Todd Haley is going to have to devise a scheme that fits Michael Vick. I don't know what that is right now with his age. Luckily, they got Le'Veon Bell back. You're going to see a lot of runs and maybe some zone reads. Todd Haley's scratching his head right now going, oh, my God, I got to change a lot of things. I have to be creative. I've got to do some things for Michael Vick because he hasn't practiced all of our offense.
Right.
It's going to be it's going to be interesting to watch.
So you want to ask him the poll question, Chris Brockman at richeisenshow.com, before we let Mooch go here?
All right, Mooch. Which team using a backup quarterback gives that team the best chance to win? Is it the Steelers with Michael Vick, the Cowboys with Brandon Weeden, or the Saints with Luke McCown?
I think it's Brandon Weeden with the Cowboys because he's on a real good team. Hey, he completed he had a set a record, 21 straight completions.
I know, a lot good it did him.
You know, and then his first incomplete, or it was an interception actually,
right?
The one he missed first. But he's on a real good team. The Steelers are a pretty darn good team too. But I think Brandon Weeden will be very good. You know, they scored enough points to win the game. They just couldn't hang on defense. So Brandon Weeden, I think, is going to be fine.
Well, what's the current poll question results right now?
Brandon Weeden pulling in 33%, Michael Vick, 53% right now.
Vick's 53%.
Woo!
What makes Mooch most mad? What makes Mooch most mad this week, week number 3, Steve Mariucci?
Okay, so you started off your program, right, with Cam Newton talking to Ed Hockley and that kind of banter back and forth that maybe was misinterpreted, whatever. So when I was on the sidelines, Rich, I would, you know me, I'm kind of nuts, and I talk to players, media, whoever, officials in a certain way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's for fun. I kid around with them and that kind of thing. Well, you know, one time I wanted to challenge something down by the goal line, and I thought I had to stay in the box, and then I'm yelling, I'm gonna throw this flag, and they do, and then by the time the play ran, I couldn't. So I talked to the guy. I said, hey, listen, I was trying to challenge, but you weren't looking at me. And the guy said, well, just run down there and grab me and let me know. You got to tell me somehow. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. Well, that didn't happen in that game. A couple games later, I did that. I ran down, grabbed the official, say, hey, listen, what's going on? I want to challenge that. He turned around, different guy, turned around and said, don't ever touch me again. I will throw you right out of the stadium. And I went, what? And that's what would make me mad, because there was some inconsistency. Some guys could take a joke, some guys couldn't. Some guys, we talk about the inconsistency of maybe illegal contact or pass interference.
Right.
And some of that stuff with the coach, too, is what can he do? Can he throw the flag? Can he holler at me? Can he touch me? Can he grab me? Can he run down there? There's some inconsistencies there, too. And that's what made me mad a little bit back then, because they were all a little bit different.
And it's brought to the floor again by Ed Hockley. Go figure. All right, don't touch Ed, because, Ed works on the traps. He's got the tries. He's got he's got it all working. You know what I mean? You know that about Ed, right?
Yep. He's got it.
All right, Steve, take care of yourself.
Hey, that was a fun Mondays with Mooch.
That's right. That'll be you have on next Monday, too. Maybe we'll get you on a Thursday also. Otherwise, I'll just see you back at the shop. You got it. That's Steve Mariucci. Mondays with Mooch.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.